the Young, and the Restless spoilers. Sharon's journey to reclaim her health had been fraught with challenges, but none had been as severe as the current crisis precipitated by a recent change in her medication. What was meant to be a step towards recovery had swiftly devolved into a nightmare, with Sharon spiraling into a state of mental and emotional turmoil. The new prescription had wreaked havoc on her system, leaving her sleepless, restless, and plagued by incessant thoughts. The vibrant, hopeful woman who once faced her battles with resilience now seemed a distant memory, replaced by someone barely recognizable even to herself. Days turned into sleepless nights as Sharon's condition deteriorated. Her once calm demeanor gave way to inexplicable rage and irritability, lashing out at anyone who crossed her path without any discernible reason. It was as though a storm had taken over her mind, leaving her unable to find solace or peace. Her emotional state became increasingly unstable, and the bouts of uncontrolled crying became more frequent, alarming everyone around her. Her daughters, Mariah and Faith, were particularly shaken by the rapid decline in their mother's mental health. Accustomed to seeing their mother as a pillar of strength, they now faced the heartbreaking reality of her vulnerability. The sight of Sharon in such a fragile state was more than they could bear, prompting them to call their father, Nick, in desperate hope that he could provide some support or clarity. Nick arrived promptly, his concern for Sharon evident despite the complexities of his own life. He had been deeply involved with Phyllis, whose significance in his life often overshadowed other responsibilities. However, witnessing the urgency of Sharon's condition, Nick realized that his priorities needed immediate reassessment. The sight of his daughter's fear and the fragile state of his ex-wife struck a chord deep within him. Together, they summoned Sharon's doctor, hoping for an explanation or a solution. However, the doctor, perplexed and visibly distressed, could offer no concrete answers. He reviewed her case meticulously but failed to identify the root cause of her adverse reactions to the new medication. His inability to pinpoint the issue only compounded the family's frustration and anxiety. The situation seemed to escalate with each passing moment, and the fear that Sharon might harm herself loomed ominously over them all. Faith, the younger of the two daughters, was particularly anxious. She clung to the hope that her father could bring some stability to the chaos enveloping their lives. Yet, the realization that Nick's attention was divided, primarily focused on Phyllis, added another layer of distress. Faith's plea for her father to be present for Sharon was laced with desperation, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Nick found himself torn between his current commitments and the pressing need to support his former wife and daughters. The stark contrast between his obligations to Phyllis and the immediate crisis involving Sharon highlighted the difficult choices he faced. Despite the strain, Nick knew that Sharon's well-being took precedence. He resolved to set aside his plans with Phyllis, understanding that his presence was crucial in navigating the storm they were caught in. The decision to hospitalize Sharon in a psychiatric facility was not made lightly. It was a heart-wrenching but necessary step to ensure her safety and provide the intensive care she desperately needed. As the arrangements were made, the family braced themselves for the arduous journey ahead. The prospect of Sharon enduring the challenges of a psychiatric hospital weighed heavily on their hearts. Sharon's admission to the facility marked the beginning of a new chapter in her battle for mental health. The sterile corridors and clinical environment were a stark contrast to the warmth of home, but they offered a semblance of hope. Sharon was surrounded by professionals dedicated to understanding and addressing her condition. The initial days were tumultuous as Sharon grappled with the reality of her situation. The absence of familiar faces and the constraints of the hospital setting were jarring. However, the structured environment and constant medical supervision provided a much-needed sense of stability. Sharon's treatment plan was meticulously crafted, with a focus on gradually stabilizing her mental state and addressing the adverse effects of the medication change. For Mariah and Faith, the days were a blur of visits and updates, their lives revolving around their mother's progress. The strength they drew from each other was a testament to their resilience and unwavering love for Sharon. Nick's presence, though sporadic due to his commitments, provided additional support, reinforcing the sense of family unity in the face of adversity.